we in there. Y'all need to start talking about what y'all talking
about. All right.
You want to try it?
All right, we in there.
You can't do it, man.
All right, and
you can't. Oh.
All right, what up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the After 29 podcast. This is episode 39. What did I say this episode was called?
Dang, where's my business?
Oh, yeah.
Wait, man. We got to go back. I was like, what's this one called? Because on the thing, it's got black-owned business representation. I was like, what the fuck? I ain't gonna say. That's not what it is. My bad. Yeah. All right, y'all ready?
Yep.
All right, and 5, 4, 3. What up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the After 29 podcast. This is episode 39. Where is my business? I'm Vincent Dunson, a.k.a. Minister V. Let's get it going, guys.
It's your boy, Malcolm Davis, man of steel.
Clayton Foster, big shoulder brother in the building.
You Mazio. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's talk to God. Eternal God, our Father, we come to you again on this evening, Lord, just to give your name, honor, glory, and praise, Lord. Lord, we just thank you for allowing us this platform, Lord, just to express ourselves and to talk about the things that are near and dear to our hearts, Lord. Lord, we thank you for just allowing us to assemble safely each night, Lord, that we come together. And Lord, we just ask that you'll bless this topic, Lord, bless the conversation. And Lord, we just ask that everything that is said tonight is pleasing in your sight and it will be insightful to those listening. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
All right, guys, where's my business? Let me tell you how we even came up with that topic, so we're going to jump right in. So I was driving. I was driving and I was actually going down one of those, what do you call them? Strip malls, I believe. Like, where... No, not a strip club, bro. I don't do those no more. Oh, I got saved, boy. Anyway.
Yeah, I don't do those no more either. I got out of trouble.
So I was driving, and I was going into a restaurant at a strip mall, and I don't know, just something just hit me, and I started looking at all the restaurants and all the establishments that was along the strip. Now, on this particular one strip that I'm referencing, it was about 15 different stores. Now there was a major store, like they usually like one of the big box stores, Lowe's, Harris Teeter, Target, one of those. They usually are accompanied by a line of other businesses, in the same area. So over a little bit of time, I had just started noticing, and I had visited several different ones and in several different areas in my area here. But there was one thing that I didn't notice, and I noticed like 12 to 15 different stores on these strips, and I looked, and there was some that was owned by Asians. There was even one that was owned by Japanese. There was some restaurants owned by Hispanics, and of course there were some white-owned businesses. But on none of these strips, they all had one thing in common. Not one black-owned business was among the strip there anywhere. Now, that's not to say that blacks don't own businesses, but one of the problems that I had when I was looking at this, I was like, we have no representation, especially in prominent areas. We know where our Targets are, our Walmarts and Lowe's and Food Lions and things like that. There was not one black-owned business among the bunch. Now, I'm not saying that there aren't exceptions to this rule, because I'm sure there are. But I'm pretty sure you fellas will probably agree with me that when you visit most heavily populated areas, unless it's in a city or a state that is heavy African-American population, we don't have a lot of businesses in a general area. Now, and if we do, they are like really far and few and in between. Right. So I thought that was I don't know. I thought that was a disservice to the black community as a whole. Where's our reputation, our representation when it comes to business? And I really felt like we really, really lacked a lot of that that representation in the business world. I don't know, man. Tell me what y'all thoughts. Have y'all seen the same thing that I've seen?
Well, I think there are plenty of black businesses. You just have to look for them, and you definitely have to look for them. They're not going to be, you might have a black business down the road from where you live at. You just don't know, because they don't do as much advertisement as the other, because they don't have the budget as a Target to advertise. But they do got apps that you can download to your phone that you can search for black businesses in your area. And I said this on the call is that whites had a 400-year head start on these things than we did, and we are slowly catching up, and a lot more black businesses are growing and popping up. But the majority of people that own these strip malls are white people, and they get to choose which company they want in those strip malls.
So do you think that plays a prominent part in why there isn't
I would be a
black-owned business? Because remember, there are Hispanic, there are Asian businesses, and of course there are white businesses, that we see on these. But like I said, the one representation that I see that is lacking in general is the black representation.
I mean, I would be a fool to say that in some instances, maybe it does happen. Maybe they don't lease to the black person sometimes. But I don't think that's all the time.
Right.
I just think, like during the pandemic, a lot of black people were quitting their jobs and they investing in themselves, and they are now starting to open up businesses. Just like in Youngsville, it's a black-owned hair salon that's coming to Youngsville, and it could be more than one black business in Youngsville, but that's the only one that I know of personally. And I will go there and spend some of my money for some hair products.
Nigga, you got no hair.
You crazy? I still got hair. It might be gray, but I got hair. Me and Clay both, so I might need some dye or something over there. But I got hair.
Ain't got as much as it used to.
Yeah, but I just think we just have to do a better job at going out and putting our business in these places that we can afford. And sometimes in Raleigh, some of the rent is like crazy high.
That's true.
And sometimes you just got to make that decision. Do I put my business in a prime location and pay $5,000 in rent? Or can I put it in this location and spend $1,000 and take that $4,000 and put it towards advertisement and those things?
Right.
And I think that also factors in on why you don't see it in predominantly areas. And you got to put your business in areas where people can that you can sell to people.
Right.
Yeah, you got to know your demographic.
You got to know your demographic. You don't want to. You're not gonna put a black hair salon in a predominantly white neighborhood because you might not do as well.
Yeah,
and I just think that counters in there as well. So I think a lot of stuff goes into certain areas that black people have business in and not. But I think we will be doing a better job, and I am inspired by the things that's going on right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's two things I want to say. You guys made some like excellent points, but I think one thing that we often forget is that many black-owned businesses aren't brick and mortar, and they don't all sell tangible products. I mean, it's tons of different businesses. Like Shopify stores, people they ship directly to your home, and and that's kind of the culture that we live in now. A lot of people don't even go to brick and mortar stores anyway. Like people like to buy their stuff online. So there's tons of
home offices and stuff.
There's tons of people with home offices who have warehouses and things are just shipping to customers.
I mean, I get that, but there are black businesses that own clothing shops, they own hair salons, they own they own grocery stores, they own discount stores, they own clothing. They do own things like that, and they do have brick and mortar stores.
We have our own bread too.
Yeah, we have we own food. We have restaurants. So, and that's not to say that the other side of things, like the e-commerce side, that we aren't getting heavily in that. I'm speaking of the representation in the brick and mortar, shopping communities and things like that, because we do own those types of businesses as well, but we don't see the representation in the mix. Like I said, we see that, and it's not because black people's business wouldn't do well there, because in those same areas that I've seen this in, a black owned business would do well because the surrounding population is heavily black, or or a good mix of different minorities. But as far as the business representation, we lack there. We don't lack in the demographic because we're heavy in the demographic. We just lack in the business world.
And I think oftentimes too, like when black people start business, they for some reason think that you just got to stick in a certain area too. I think part of it is a mindset. Yeah. I mean, there are, I'm sure, other factors that hold them back, but I think that's a part of it too. I think sometimes we forget that white people got money too. And,
Exactly.
Yeah,
So-
And maybe we're afraid that they won't shop with us.
yeah. And I don't know if it's that we're afraid. I think we just sometimes forget to think about people outside of our
Yeah.
own race.
Yeah, like a mom and pop store
Yeah.
might be in the same location and never expand and never
Yeah.
franchise and
Right.
never get another business.
And one thing too, like a bit of data that I found is I think oftentimes we think that most businesses in America are owned in the majority by like white men, but it's not true. I was looking at this Forbes article, and like the businesses in America, the small businesses is 30.5 million small businesses in America. It's only owned 41% of those businesses are owned by white men, and then the rest is 11. It's like 30.5 million. 11.6 is owned by women, and that's all women. And the majority of businesses owned by women is 65% white.
Right.
And then the other 6.5 million businesses is owned by men of color. So we keep perpetuating that most businesses are owned by the white man, but it's not true.
The black
So,
man own
but,
quite
okay,
a
so,
bit.
but it sounds like maybe it's not owned by the white man, but it is owned by white people. Because even if you factor those numbers in, that's heavily white owned business. Now, that's not. I don't even think that adds to this argument. How many? Because like I said, when you go to some of these strip malls, a lot of these, okay, maybe the major stores there are white owned or whatever, like your Targets and stuff like that. But you'll have 10 to 15 other small businesses outside of that. And and actually most of them that I be seeing, only a couple of them be owned by whites. Some of the other ones I be seeing they're owned by the Asian community and, in the Hispanic community, like the restaurants and things like that.
Like Mooresville, it's like
Exactly.
it's an Indian restaurant, an Indian grocery store.
Exactly. So things like that. But like I said, and I'm glad that there is that mixture.
Right.
But you're missing some
So
seasoning.
you want Black Wall Street back?
I want.
Yeah.
Well, of course we all do. But
Durham was considered Black Wall Street.
Yeah,
for a long time.
exactly. But what I want to see is, I'm not asking for a strip of just all black business. I mean, that would be lovely. But what I would like to see in a mixed community, I would love to see mixed representation
Right.
spill over from not just the residential demographic, but also into the commercial demographic. So beside a Target, I want to see a black-owned nail shop or a black-owned beauty supply store or a black-owned restaurant.
Well, Target don't care if you black, white, green, and purple.
But I
They
have
just
never
want your
seen
money.
too many black-owned businesses next to a Target either. And I don't think many of us can honestly say that unless it's in one of those areas.
I don't think that's Target problem though.
Well, no, I'm not saying it's Target's
issue.
problem. I'm
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
just saying when we go to those particular strip malls and those areas, those shopping centers, I've never really seen those. Now, I don't know that the women's clothing store, the Body Shop. Now, I have seen those prominent next to Walmarts and Targets. I don't know if that's black owned, but I do know a lot of black women shop at these stores.
Walmart got black hair salons inside of them.
Yeah.
And see, and well, they don't own those. So those black women do own those shops. They lease those.
Yeah,
to
I
them.
mean, leasing is the same difference.
Now that is a step in the right direction, but they're still within a Walmart.
Even if you lease a space at the mall, it's still your business. You just got to pay
absolutely.
a lease on
But
it.
I would like to see a lot more of our businesses stand alone on their own 2 feet, but in the mix of all these other businesses, because we have quality products and services to offer just like anybody else.
Well, that's the thing. We have to start supporting one another, and that's
Absolutely.
how it happens. That's how Black Wall Street happened. They bought from one another within. The money didn't leave.
Talking Tulsa.
Yeah, I'm talking Tulsa. Even in Durham, the money didn't leave the community. The money went to other places in the community. Right. So they shopped in the community. They went to the hospitals in their community. They had school systems in their communities, and they also had their own police departments in their community, especially Tulsa, Oklahoma.
But I'm saying, like, and we would love to see that again.
But
it still doesn't solve what Vincent is saying. He was saying that, like, having black businesses in those places where it's not like our neighborhood.
Right. I mean, it's kind of like.
I mean, that can't happen. But like I said, that's not Target problem to get black businesses to open up stores beside them. That's the black
what I'm
business
saying is
issue.
how do we inject our businesses in neighborhoods that are not predominantly
We just
black?
got to go out there and do it.
most
That's the only way you can do it.
Now,
and it's kind of like.
Now you're gonna have to pay more money to do that because
those are heavy traffic areas.
Heavy traffic areas.
Yeah.
Now that's what I was talking about earlier. Your budget has to dictate where you can put your business at.
That's true.
So
now,
that could be one reason why. No, that's just one reason why we don't get in certain areas.
If you got $5,000 a month to pay in a lease to get a place right beside the Target, then all means do it.
Right.
But if you don't have that budget to pay, and you can pay $500 and you still have your own business, you might want to go to the $500.
And that's another thing that I saw
too. Not the $5,000, because the value is going to be a lot more in those predominantly areas that have the Targets, the Walmarts, the Costco's, and those things.
Absolutely.
Because you paying for that foot traffic.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. You're paying for the location.
Right.
Just like anything. But another thing that I saw as well is like the minority businesses, whether it's black, Asian, whatever, usually leans more on personal funding or family funding.
Yes,
they don't
exactly.
always get the external funding as well.
And that's what I was talking about, the budget. Sometimes you have to, with your budget might not can afford that
particular
area, but it can afford this area, and maybe you can use some of that money to do in advertisement like a Facebook page or a website and those things. Sometimes you got to factor all of that into your budget.
Right. Yeah.
You don't. If your budget is $10,000 a month, you don't want to spend $6,000 of that $10,000 a month on a lease, and then you only have
and you don't have any other expendive, liquid, funds to go around.
Because you're gonna have to pay a premium for those locations because you're paying for foot traffic.
And it's like, I mean, because I used to like deliver mail or whatever, and just driving around in general. But like, for example, South Main Street in Wake Forest, whatever, you would see, predominantly white businesses. You might see like a Hispanic business as well, like the empanada spot, and different things like that. But you don't see that black store driving around seeing different strip club. Oh, I almost said strip malls. Dang, strip malls, but
bruh, you definitely ain't going with us tomorrow. Malcolm already done got you in trouble. You got yourself in trouble.
I'm sorry, bro.
Nah, you good. But I mean, and it's like sometimes I guess we shoot ourselves in the foot. Like there's a whole lot of reasons why we probably don't branch out. One, we might be scared that we might fail. Another thing is we don't have the finances or the resources to go to these big.
I think we're gonna get there.
Yeah, most definitely.
Well, one of the things that to play on what Clay was saying was that a lot of times, and I think maybe this is one of those reasons why we do get a little bit outpaced in our representation, is that we don't have that familiar backing from our families. Like I do know that in their culture, they are a little bit more tight knit in the Asian culture, and in the Asian culture and the Hispanic culture, they will pull together to open up a business. Whereas us, we will either try to do it by ourselves, or, and it's not even that we're going to try to do it by ourselves. But we know we don't have that cohesion anymore.
But we used to be.
But that's not what the data was saying. The data was saying that like black-owned businesses lean more on personal finance and family finance than like other businesses,
like white-owned businesses. Like a business loan.
Like 63% of like white-owned businesses leaned on like family funding and personal funding, but they also got more of the external funding.
Right. Well, and one of the things to touch on that, because we did talk about this too, a lot of that is because we have to, because we can't always go out and get loans. And even though we have good credit and we have the financial backing and the credit worthiness, it has been proved, as we've talked about in other episodes, stemming all the way back from what do we talk about, redlining and things like that, that we cannot get loans and things like that as easy as anyone else, and we can be in the same financial standing as another demographic, and yet we don't get the loans as readily as they do. So maybe that could be one of those reasons why we do in some cases have to fall back on the family funding, if that's possible. Now, what I have seen some to date is that we don't even have the backing of the family because we don't support each other the way that we used to in our communities.
And that's what I was saying. We used to live in multi-family houses where it used to be more than one family sharing their resources, or maybe it was more than one family on a farm that had different houses on the farms, and they worked together and they poured the resources. I don't know what happened, but a lot of times it's like I have to do this alone without getting help from my brothers. I got to be the head hunter. I don't want to start a business with my friends. I want to do it on my own, and I think sometimes that hurts us. Because it's I know a lot of white owned business that has like 4 business partners, and they share the resources, but it's still their own business,
Right, that's true.
and they still make a lot of money. I think we have to be better at pulling our resources together,
Right.
especially with a family member, maybe a friend, and you can help each other start their own business. And we used to do it, and for some reason I don't know what happened.
Want to stun on each other.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah, because now, and this is not to put down our community, because I love my black people.
We ain't putting them down. We
No,
just calling
well,
them
no,
out.
I'm talking about what my comment I'm about to make. This is not to put our black people down, because I love my black people, but we do employ that crab in the barrel mentality. No one's going to get to the top if I don't.
Right.
So I'm not going to support them. I'm not going to encourage you either, because you're doing better than me, and I don't like that. And we do see that a lot in our community.
And another thing is that once we get to the top, some people don't go back and
You
try to
don't
pull
reach
someone-
back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what I don't like is that we talk down on somebody's situation that's not ours.
Right.
They can be doing worse than us, and we won't sit there and help them, but we'll sit there and talk about them. And I dislike that a lot.
Yeah.
Instead of reaching your hand out and say, "Hey, I know you're in a tough spot. What can I do to help?"
But see, that's because
but we don't do
helping
that.
ain't popular, but talking about it, and
And
that's what's popular.
I
Give us something to do.
that. I mean, because everybody will fall on hard times sometimes, and we have to be willing to help one another to get back on their feet.
Yeah.
And I just dislike when people talk down on somebody.
Right.
Just, he ain't got no job. Okay, what can you do to help this young man
exactly.
get a job?
Have you
Because-
passed them an application?
Have you gave him an application? Why are you sitting there talking down on him? You don't know what he's going through in his life.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you started from that same point where that person was at.
Exactly. But people in our culture, we like to talk down on people, and I just dislike it.
Well, as Clay said, we like to stun on each other,
Right.
because we can't. We have to let somebody else know that we're doing better than this one over here. It can't be about
why?
and that's one of those things that has puzzled us. And not to get off topic, I think that is one of those things that has hurt us in the business world. Is that a lot of times when we see somebody of our own go out there and start their business, we talk down on the business, knowing damn well that business would benefit us. It's products that are made by us and for us, and it would be things that we like. But because we didn't do it, we're not gonna go shop there, and we will do this whole tell other people, oh, don't go shop there. They stuff this, that, and the third. Whatever.
Right.
We will go out of our way to talk down on one of our own, in the business world. But then we'll go. And I hate to say it this way, because you should feel free to spend your money wherever you like, but we'll go right to the white man and praise the product,
Right.
and then complain why there's no money trickling back into our communities.
Right.
Why? Because we don't spend our money there.
So I guess one thing I don't know, like, and I need to do my research on it, but it's like, how black females, go to like the nail salon, and majority of this nail salon is owned by, Asian Americans or whatnot.
Yeah.
But why not, like, black women, if they know how they like their nails and whatnot, start their own business on that and just.
So we did talk about that one time, and I actually talked to somebody who was actually looking into that. I know a young lady who is actually looking to get into that industry, a young black lady. She said why it's so hard is, and I think we talked about this, Clay and I, once before, is that the Asians actually control the supply chain on those products. Okay. And they have the exclusive on those products. If you think about it, the nails, the hair, all that stuff comes from over there. So, and they're not going to relinquish. That's power right there, because they control those supply chains. Yeah, I mean, I get that. So that's why it is really hard. So it's not that black women don't want to get into these, into this market. I mean, because hell, I think they are, if I read the data correct, when it comes to like nails and that whole beauty supply industry, Black women spend about 60 to 70% of the money in those industries.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yet, as far as the business of that go, we are less than in as business owners in that same market. We spend almost 70% of the money, but we are only less than 10% of the owners in that industry.
That's why we got to control. We got to control that market. We got to figure it out.
Yeah, we're gonna have to figure out a way to come up with our own products, but that is one of those reasons.
We have to figure out. We got people smart enough to figure it out. We just have to figure it out. Yeah. It's the will to and the want to. And,
but then we also got to do this. We also got to support. Because if a black woman comes up with her own product for hair and it does well, but this one says, "Oh, I ain't about to pay $25 when I can go here to the white dude, and pay $15 for it."
Look at Rihanna. What's her clothing line? Fenty and
and
she's a billionaire right now.
Yeah. And I mean, I don't know what her price. I don't know what her price is. I don't know if it's high or if it's reasonable or whatever the case may be.
But she got a name like her.
She got a name.
Yeah,
she do got a name.
But you would think that us as a community would take that same. We would take that same effort and apply that to all black-owned businesses.
What's the little black girl that had the makeup line that she? I forgot her name. I'm gonna come back. Y'all go ahead. I'll get her name.
So I was out riding today, and I was in downtown, and actually I saw this business a few weeks ago, and I said, "Hey, they look like a black-owned." Like, I thought it was an art store because all I saw was the art in there. So I actually ended up. I had made a promise that I was going to come back to this store, because I said I think that's black-owned. So I am one of those people that when it's black owned, it piques my curiosity. Even if it's a store,
at least you can do is go in there
and look around. So, and I did that today.
Don't buy anything.
Not thinking that I was going to like anything. I did my whole Christmas shopping in there today. I dropped all jokes aside, I dropped $350, and then I got the dude's business card. We rapped for a few minutes, and he was telling me about his business concept and things like that. And I told him, I said, "Look, I ain't trying to just take all your stuff." I said, "Can I take all these business cards right here?" He had like 15 to 20 left. He said people been taking them all day, which is great. So I took them all, and I said, "Look, of course I don't have no stake in this or anything like that." I said, "But look, I'm one of those people that I talk the game about supporting black business. So this is my way of doing it." And I took them, and I said, "Anybody that I know." The shop, first of all, the shop was awesome. And I think a lot of times if we would just give black businesses the chance and stop going and looking for a reason to down it, because we do that a lot. We going man, this place probably ain't shit.
Sometimes it don't be.
No, and that's the reality of it. There are exceptions to every rule. So, but we wouldn't know that if we didn't grace it. At least grace it. It's called Black Friday Market. So, and I'm gonna go ahead and shout them out. It was. Let me tell you something. It was awesome in there. I was like a kid in a candy store, and everything in the store was black owned. It was made by local black vendors, because that was his concept. Everything in there had to be black owned and black made. Nothing was outsourced, nothing was imported, none of that. Everything was from people within 100 miles of here, that pour into his shop to display their products, and he gives them a space. They pay him a small rent to house their products in his store.
Smart.
Yes, but
it's a black farmer market in Durham that me and Bree had went to.
Yeah.
It's actually, most people don't know about it, but it's actually a good one. Mazio actually has a friend that has a shop at the mall. Yeah. Go ahead and tell people about it, man.
So a girl, Italy Murphy, that I used to, we graduated together, whatnot, has a store at, I almost said South, at South Point. I'm sorry, not in South Point, Triangle Town Center. I got the malls mixed up. But she cares about her business. You definitely can tell when you go in there. Everything, it looks nice. So definitely show your love and support for that.
And Terrence got one too, right?
Yeah.
Me and Bree had went into his store at one time. It actually got a nice store. It actually got a barbershop in there as well.
Oh yeah.
So a nice store.
And with these things, we want to see that representation. Right. So, and I like to hear that a young black female has a shop in a popular mall here in our area.
Yep.
Where otherwise, I think there's a total. I think it's like 60. I think it's like 69 or 79 stores in Triangle Town Center. And so now
it ain't 69.
But that's that representation that I'm looking for. I don't care that there are white businesses there. I'm not against white businesses that they have shops and things like that. I just want to see a mixture. I want to see that representation. You know, I want to see black, black financial services, black banks, black tax services, the same way we see these other,
we got black banks. We just got to put our money in those black banks to make the black banks bigger, so they can have more power in loaning black people business loans and house loans and car loans. Right. That's how banks get their money. They are giving your money away to reinvest.
Yeah.
So we put our money into black banks. They'll have more money to invest in your blackness.
Right. And then, like, for example, Marissa and myself went into I can't think of the name of the store off the top of my head, but Sandy and Melissa Howard have their own
Craft
store.
Avenue.
Yeah,
Craft Avenue.
And Nightdale, and we actually went when they opened and showed love and support and put money or invested money into their business. So,
right.
Yeah.
And we do have to do a better job, and we got to come up with ways so that we can gain more presence in the business world, because we, like you guys said, there are plenty of black businesses out there. There are plenty of black individuals with talent and services that would benefit all of us. Mm-hmm. Now, I will say this, because we did talk about that. Sometimes some of those businesses they're not always around the corner. Why? Because we don't have that representation that, that proximity that we deserve yet. I would say one thing so that we can gain more presence is we got to be willing to do a little driving. So if I got to drive more than 5 miles to get to this particular store or whatever, then just so be it. Because right now we should treat this like a mission. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? We should treat this like look, I got to go get it. You know what I'm saying? Like I got to get to this black business so that I can, support them and put my money there, because the more money I put there, the more, then maybe that particular owner may be able to open up another one. Right. Now, that's not the end all to it, because now on the same side, if we going to pour our money into black businesses have to learn how to put that money back into our communities.
That's true.
Because now, black people take their dollar, put it into the black business owner takes their money and spends it in the white neighborhood.
Right.
And don't get me wrong. I understand some of our
mixed neighborhoods.
And I get it. Some of our neighborhoods some of our neighborhoods aren't the most up to date. Right. I'll put it that way. So you're not going to go buy your house there, and I get that.
You got to put your family in the best situation. You don't
Absolutely.
put them in a place where they can get harmed.
But there are other ways to trickle our money back into our communities, and it doesn't necessarily have to be. It doesn't necessarily have to be in real estate. It could be
through programs.
Absolutely, but we've got to be more ready and able to take our dollar to the store, and then let the store take it back to the community. And then when you take the money back to the community, guess what the community does? The community retakes it back to the store takes it back to the community. There's a cycle, and that's how it should do. But instead nowadays is we want everybody to pour into our business, and then we take our money and we pour it elsewhere.
Right. And I mean, like for a lot of people that, go to these different side stores that like buy J's and different things like that. And like how you said, like we should look at it as a mission. Like the same way we do that, we stand outside a line like for hours upon hours to get a shoe that we might not be able to get. Mm-hmm. We should pour it into these other side businesses as well. So,
yeah. We talked about certain things that come up, right? On why, we don't have the representation that we deserve. And some of it is just because, like Malcolm said, white people got a 400-year head start on us. Uh-huh. Then you got like the Asian and the Hispanic community who do awesome jobs. We're pooling together to get their resources into the hands of one, so that, hey, we help him open up his shop today. He does well. Guess what? Next year or the year after, because he's doing well, he takes his money and he helps his sister open up her shop, and it keeps trickling on. Next thing you know, one family owns probably a garage, a restaurant, and a nail salon and a clothing store now.
And another thing that I noticed that other cultures do, the whole family sends kids to school, not just the mother and father. It's the whole family.
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody pulls together and does that.
In their education.
So, so we know that there are some things that have stopped us, and there are, these are some obstacles in the road when it comes to us blacks, when it comes to the business world. do y'all feel like we should stop talking about those and stop blaming those things and maybe put our effort into, maybe focus more on what we're doing?
Well, I think we have to stop blaming things, but we still have to be conscious on these things that happen. So we have to know about redlining. We have to know about these things, but we can't blame these things on us not being successful. We understand that we have to work harder than our counterparts, but it's not nothing that we're not used to already.
Right.
We've been working harder than our counterparts. So we should be able to go out there and hustle and get it and stop making excuses. Because at this point, we can't make excuses. We have no point. And we just got to go out there and get it.
Right.
But we do understand that we have to work harder than our counterparts.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have to be conscious of the bumps in the road. They're going to be there. You just have to know how to navigate around them, control the things that you can control. And like I said, be aware that there are some external things that you may run into that are going to be hindrances, but you just got to learn how to roll with the punches and find a way to get it. Don't let the things that you really can't do anything about that are gonna be there stop you from what you can do.
Right.
So
yeah, I would say we should stop always saying like the white man is like there to prevent us to do like getting to where we need to get to.
Right.
I mean, yeah, we already know that's a thing, but that shouldn't stop us from grinding and pushing our way to get to what we want. Because I mean, anything that you want in life, you got to work hard for it. So I mean, definitely, be wise, but then also just keep pushing. Because I mean, if you want to be successful, you want to be have your family be good, and they don't have to worry about struggling and whatnot. You got to fight for what you want. Because if you're not, no one else is gonna fight for you. So
yeah, absolutely.
You sound like your boy. Who will fight for the little boy?
oh yeah.
They're fishing.
But one of those things, and I do agree with you fellas that I would say that we should stop pointing the finger at this point. But like you said, we can't forget either.
Right.
Because I need to keep that in mind. Like, and I think Clay just said that as well. I got to work hard. Right. And I have to work harder than my counterpart because I wasn't dealt the same hand that my counterpart was. My counterpart probably has a parent that will give them $50,000 to start a business.
Or $1 million.
Or $1 million or $10 million. Well, not even just that. All these so-called self-made millionaires, they all had parents and stuff like that was backing them.
Head start.
So, but the point is, do I keep using that as an excuse and say, well, this is why I can't? Because all I'm gonna continue to do is just to, perpetuate not having it.
Right.
And I'm just going to continue to not have it because all I'm doing is focusing on why I don't.
Right.
Versus, all right, so yeah, I don't have the same stance that they do. I'm not, my starting point in this race, was probably a half a leg back. When the gun went off, or more. I was a whole lap behind.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? When the gun went off. So I can either focus on the fact that I'm a lap behind, or I can figure out how to sprint my ass off and work harder to catch up and then surpass.
Right. Exactly.
So, and I do agree with that because I do hear a lot of people say, well, the reason I don't have this is because of these things that happen. I'm like, well, listen, I understand what happened back in 1640 and 1500, this or that or whatever. But this is 2021.
Right. So
and I get it. Some of those things are still lingering today, but I'm not saying get over. I would never say that. Because I hate when people say, well, black people need to get over slavery. We'll get over slavery when the effects of slavery get over themselves. Right. And until the effects are gone, we're not going to get over slavery. Because first of all, slavery was not that long ago.
Right.
White people, slavery wasn't that long ago.
We shouldn't use certain things as a crutch to just not
a crutch.
Make us be complacent and not move forward in life.
But it should be motivation.
Yes, it should. It should because I mean, once you are motivated and you have that drive, and you get to where you want to get to, you would definitely cherish it more than the person that they just had it placed on their lap or whatnot. So
and our ancestors had to endure a lot more than what we had to do, and they still managed to make it. And they still managed to open up businesses, and they still managed to give birth to another generation.
Right.
So if they can endure it,
What's our excuse? We're not even in bondage.
Yeah, we should take advantage of the luxuries that we have.
What's that?
And I mean, like the Jewish community, they're some of the most successful people in the U.S. And I mean, they don't tell them to forget the Holocaust, but they don't use it as a crutch either.
And another race that also it looks out for their people is Africans. I mean, for example, my mom. I mean, she's working like just regular jobs or whatnot, but then what she's doing, sending her money back home to build like different houses or apartments and different things like that, and creating businesses out there so they can help each other out and whatnot. So
So I mean. And I'm glad you said that. So, in closing us out, what are we doing what are we going to do? And I'm not saying as business owners, but even just as Black people, what are we doing to help get that representation out there?
Well, like I said before, man, I am encouraged about all the Black people quitting their jobs and starting their own hustle, man. I think it's beneficial. I know the pandemic was hard on everybody, but it seemed like the Black man did a good job during the pandemic because a lot of us are opening up businesses. We are figuring out what we can and what we want to sell that jobs. A lot of people say, oh, it's a bad thing. We can't find work. Well, you can't find work at the price that you want the workers at.
Exactly.
You can find workers, but they're not going to work at that price that you want them at anymore. And I'm encouraged by it. Go out there and make your money. And we are getting better at this. I always see new things that Blacks are putting out. You can buy a number of Black things. We even got a bread that you can buy. 20 years ago, we didn't have a Black bread, but you can buy a bread that's made and manufactured by Blacks. Soon we're gonna have some sugar out. I mean, we're gonna do it, and I just think we have to be patient and we just got to go out there and get it, man. If it's something that you want to do, figure out how you can do it, and don't be afraid to fail. Because that's the worst thing a person can do is to be afraid to fail. Because you can't get up if you don't fall.
Yeah, that's true.
And we all fall in hard times. So, I mean, I'm encouraged by what's going on now, man. Just keep fighting and keep doing it.
Absolutely.
Our ancestors already endured for us.
Yeah. I always get nervous when Malcolm starts talking about bread.
Lows of
I'm telling y'all boys, y'all overpaying. That's all.
What you mean, y'all boys?
They know what I'm talking about.
Go ahead.
I mean, I think that what I do is like continue to like share. Like when I see something like that, I think that's beneficial. That people that follow what I do or like. I feel like they might have a talent for. I try to share it because that's the way that we're gonna go forward is knowledge, and like, we don't have to hoard the knowledge for ourselves. It's enough money out there to go around. We can't get the money until we get the knowledge.
Right.
I mean, continue the hustle. I mean, I respect anybody that hustles and is moving forward in a positive direction or whatnot because that by you moving. Someone else on the sideline sees that and it's like, oh man, this person's grinding. Like I see them like trying to get get their thing, get money or whatever. So I'm gonna try to do the same thing. So people are always looking at you. So don't, like Malcolm said, don't be scared to fail or whatnot because if you're scared to fail, you're never gonna grow. You're gonna stay complacent. You're gonna be where you're at and you're gonna get left behind because everyone else is trying to get there. And you're just sitting back and being scared of your own failures and whatnot. So never be scared to fail. Continue to hustle, and just because you say if you hear one no, that doesn't mean anything. You can hear 1,000 no's. The only thing it takes is just that one yes that you need to hear. So continue to find any way possible to get to where you want to get to. I mean, even if it takes you a year or 2 years, keep grinding. So
yeah, absolutely. All right, fellas, that was an awesome episode, man. I hope everyone that is listening to the episode. I mean, the only thing I can really say to you, like how we look, continue just buy Black. Support
buy Black when you can.
Buy Black when you can, and do your research. Go out there. Don't be lazy. Go out there and find Black business because we are out there and. While right now, we don't have the representation that we need and that we deserve, but those businesses out there that can expand, they can't do it if we don't support. So, by black. That's all I can say. All right, guys, it's been another episode of the After 29 podcast. Until next time, peace.
Peace.